Hi Cancer, welcome to your October 2023 Astro-Tarot scope with me, Raphael from Radiant Reality. It's an absolute pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining me. Quick note, these readings are for your sun, moon and ascendant signs. So whether you're a sun, moon or rising sign Cancer, this is for you. And I always advise that you watch all three to get a clearer, more complete picture of how they're going to speak to you. With that said, remember they are general readings. Not everything's going to resonate with everybody, and that is just fine. You should always use your own discernment. I am going to say if you're only going to watch one, because these are based on the astrology, watch for your ascendant sign. It's likely to be the most accurate. With that said, if you are a continued subby, you know Rafi loves you. If you're new to my channel, please don't forget to like, share, and for all of you, hit that subscribe button. Help me chase that YouTube play button. I would be eternally grateful. Also, worth noting, if you want to get a personal reading with me, you can do so on the link in the description box below. So my hands disappeared. All right, so do all of the things. All right, so for your first transit, before we start, as always, I would like to bless my decks of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity and abundance. And I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise. They help you on your path to your highest vibrational good. So for your first transit on the 3rd of October, Mars is coming into a conjunction with the South Node. And I actually see this, like the image that I got in my mind when I was seeing it was a pair of scissors, right? And what happens when you cut something, you cut it and the other part falls away. Mars is coming into a conjunction with the South Node. The South Node is the energy of release, elimination, excretion. It's what we move away from. It's it's kind of like the springboard. I like to see it as like what we kick off to go towards what it is that we actually want or what we need to be focused on moving forward. Mars is an energy of action, passion, excitation, irritation, but it's also a severing and removing kind of energy. And so because you have this in your for you, so Mars is currently in the sign of Libra. It's coming into the conjunction with the South Node. This for you is happening so it's happening for all of us in the sign of Libra, but for you the 4th house is occupied by the sign of Libra. So what this means is this connection is happening in that 4th house space. There's a possibility that you might be releasing some kind of burden or challenge from the family sector, because your family life, your home environment, where you live, right? Who you live there with, your deep emotional makeup, your roots and your heritage is all 4th house stuff. Home, family, home and hearth. This is all stuff that resonates very deeply with you because you are the natural ruler of the 4th house. So all of these things could hit you that much more powerfully. The South Node is a moving away energy anyway, or a release. And it's like something that, from something that's kind of seen its day. Mars could literally be seeing you leaving home. You could be moving away from home. Maybe you're leaving the yoke of your family in some regard. Maybe you're seeking a future elsewhere out in the world. So there's a few ways this could show up. There is a finality to any sort of connection that comes in with the nodes, because the nodes represent fated energies, karmic energies. And so with the South Node and Mars coming together like this, whatever is removed now or set into motion as a result of this connection, there'll be no going back to it. All right, like this is kind of like it's a grand completion in some way. So for this, you've got the Ace of Wands, you've got the Devil card, okay, and you've got the 9 of Wands. Now, I am going to say this, my dear Cancerians, whether this is your sun, moon or ascendant that you're watching for, whatever it is that's going away, it looks like you're really going to feel this in the heart space. And it looks to me like potentially here, you could really go into some kind of escapism here because something hurts too much. I'm not saying don't feel. After all, if you've been with me long enough, you'll know that my moon sign is I have moon in Cancer in my chart, and I'm very proud of that fact. But when we find things really very difficult to deal with emotionally, we kind of retreat into, I call it the Cancer cave. We come back into our shell and like, I'm not coming out until it's nicer. And, you know, I actually have a friend, a lady that I used to talk to, And we used to talk about the Cancer Cave, and that's how it came about. But yeah, you could really retreat into that at this time, or you could become really passionate and really powerfully sort of pushing yourself because of the emotions that you're feeling, and potentially, touch wood, you know, potentially do yourself some kind of damage. So please look after yourself throughout this time and be good to yourself at this time. On the 9th of October, Venus is coming into the sign of Virgo, and Virgo in your chart, if you're an ascendant Cancerian, occupies the 3rd house. So if you have a hard time, if you've had a hard time with studies or siblings, maybe with communications in general, especially while you know, Mars was moving through there, this Venus coming into your 3rd house is going to see things really start to ease up. Words and communication become a lot easier, a lot clearer, a lot simpler. She's going to provide you with a sweeter air in the communication sphere, right? So this might be that you're working to enhance or beautify a website if you have one. It could also, now it is going to come as soon as Mars enters Virgo, because Saturn is at 0, well, it's like 1 degree at this point, and still heading backwards towards 0 degrees of Pisces. As soon as Venus comes into the sign of Virgo, she's going to immediately come into an opposition with Saturn. That's quite heavy, and so it means that maybe your attention's being brought to something that can't be ignored. Now, especially around studies or legal matters, because Saturn's in the 9th house for you, and this is important as well. If you're lucky enough to have grandparents, the 9th house in any chart actually represents grandparents. And I wonder, or rather what I want to say to you is, if you are lucky enough to have grandparents, use this time to have conversations with them, to spend time with them, and to say anything that you feel like you might want them or need them to know. All right. Outside of this, Venus is in the 3rd house in a it's a beautiful set of words, right? But there's a precision to those words and those messages that you're delivering, or the way that you're having conversations, or even whatever you're studying at the moment, it becomes easier. It's like, you know, when you go through a period of study, like the first 6 months are always really hard because you're just taking in new information and you're like, you just want it to click, right? And there's no moment where it all kind of makes sense. And then all of a sudden something magical happens and your brain goes, ah, I've got this. Okay, yeah. And this piece goes with this, and this goes with this, and da 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 da. That's what this is. Virgo energy is naturally very precise. It is an energy of synthesis as well. It has its own energy of synthesis, I personally believe, even though it pulls things apart to get to the good stuff, which in itself is a measure of synthesis. And a lot of people will probably argue that point. That's how I see it, so whatever. But because Virgo has such a precise energy, it's making your words very exact, but those words are really being well received because Venus is sweetening this area for you. So for this, you've got the 5 of Pentacles with the Temperance card and the High Priestess. If you have elderly grandparents, particularly grandmothers, if you have older women that you love and look up to in your family who have had problems or issues with health, this is the time to say what needs to be said, have the conversations that you need to have, make the preparations that you need to make. That's as much as I will say. Outside of that, it may very well be that someone asks you for your help or your support in a situation that is potentially quite challenging for them, but they do this behind the scenes where they say to you, look, you know, I really want to ask for your help with something, but you can't tell anybody about this. You can't talk about it. So there's something here potentially where you're sworn to secrecy. Now, what I will say, because it's Venus in the 3rd, this could actually be something that bonds you even deeper with a person, you know, with a friend, with a colleague, with somebody that you're studying with, maybe somebody that you work with, maybe just somebody that you know and spend time with on the periphery. This could actually deepen that, because whenever we share secrets or we feel like we can share a secret with someone, we tend to, yeah, like when that happens, you find a way to kind of say, yes, okay, you know what, I get you and you get me, and it deepens the bond that you have. On the 12th of October, Mars is going to come into the sign of Scorpio. Now, this is a big deal because Mars is moving into a sign that it knows. Mars comes into your 5th house. It brings sexual, sensual, pleasurable, intense romance and fun to this space of your chart. It's also bringing a solid driving force towards enjoying your body. I like this for any form of sports, competitions, races, all of that kind of stuff. Like, it will give you the drive that you need. Like, if you want to train for a marathon or something, this could actually be the energy that you need to kickstart that. If you've got anything like that, channel all of your Martian energies into what you're doing and watch the results come good, because they absolutely will. If you've got children, they could become a lot more demanding or a lot louder or more vocal in some way. If your babies are your projects, then it's likely to be that they require a lot more energy and you will be very busy bringing them to life. The 5th house is a creative space. It's also a very lucky space. Speculative gambles are found in the 5th house. Children, pleasure, joy, romance, all of these things. But Mars in Scorpio, it brings the intensity. It's like Mars in Scorpio, I see as like, you know, when you like have... because on my dad's side, we're Caribbean. So hot food, spicy food is not unknown to us. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's a thing. Even in my mum's family, actually, on the Greek and Egyptian heritage, we got a lot of spicy dishes there as well, right? Usually, like with the Middle East, with Greece and like with Egypt, and the whole Middle Eastern energies that we have in our family, it's usually a lot of, when I say spices, it's not necessarily spice in terms of like, oh my gosh, this burns your mouth. It's more spice in terms of flavor. And that's how I see this Mars in Scorpio. It's got like a little flavor to it. All right. For this, you got the King of Pentacles. All right, I see you with the Ace of Cups. Okay. And the Page of Cups. So first things first, if you are single and looking to mingle, this is the month, right? Around this 12th of October sort of time when Mars comes into Scorpio, you will be connecting with someone. I'm telling you, it's going to be passionate, vibrant, sexy, fun, enjoyable. It's going to be very sensual. Whoever this person is, they are an earth sign, Taurus, Capricorn, Virgo. Earth and water work very, very well together, as I'm sure many of you are aware. You've got this with the Ace of Cups and the Page of Cups. And what I can tell you is, whoever this person is, whether you are, like, whether you're a man, whether you're a woman, however you identify, whoever you date, is irrelevant. The person coming in, this is someone that's here to stay. This is because they come up with the Ace of Cups and the Page of Cups, this is someone that's going to be around for a long time to come. Now, you've got the Page of Cups here with the High Priestess. Although it isn't specifically, it is a time sequence. And what it speaks to is the time of Cancer. We've already passed the time of Cancer. So there's two ways this potentially shows up. One, this is somebody that you met around late June coming into early to mid-July. Or this is somebody that is going to be around until that time, until the time of July, let's say late June, early to mid-July of next year. And at that point, you're making something very, very official. So this could be that you're meeting someone, it starts hot and heavy, it's a lot of fun, a lot of pleasure, a lot of romance, and it just keeps going. And then bam, next year you find yourself getting like engaged or whatever. And if you've been with me long enough, you know I don't make these kinds of predictions very often. I'm not like one of those readers. No offense to anybody. A little bit of shade there, a little bit of shade. What? Come on, it's healthy. And then... yeah, so, and that's what I want to say. For those of you that are partnered, married, or in long-term commitments already, this is you and your partner taking something to a new level. So for those of you that want children, there's absolutely the energy there for it, for sure. For those of you that don't want children and you've got other things going on, this is a personal project of some sort that really starts to grow, and in a way that you can see almost immediately. And then finally, on the 24th of October, the moon, your ruling luminary, comes into a conjunction with Saturn at 0 degrees of Pisces, a fellow water sign. And those energies are going to trine the sun at 0 degrees on this same day, who is also 3 degrees out from Mercury, who is also in Scorpio, right? So the sun and Mercury in Scorpio trine to the moon and Saturn at 0 degrees of Pisces. This is a pretty big deal. And for you, this is happening across the 5th house, 9th house space. Your ruler conjunct Saturn, it brings a deeper, moodier version of you to the fore at this time, and you start to understand life and possibly yourself a little bit better, especially in terms of like what's available to you at the moment. What you believe about what is available to you at the moment is also likely to be highlighted to you at this time. And there could be a lot of thoughts or conversations around money at this moment in time. Maybe not necessarily for you or from you or by you, but definitely around you. It might also be that there's a deeper connection that forms between you and a partner or a collaborator. And either way, there's something about this where you're getting really focused on where you go from here. What does life look like once I have done A, B, and C, achieved A, B, and C, received A, B, and C, right? Like, it's, in a way, it's kind of serious and practical. And it might even require paperwork and documentation. There's a possibility to that. You've got the Magician with the Page of Swords and the King of Swords. There will definitely be paperwork, documents, all manner of potentially legal paperwork and documentation around the 24th of October. There will be a lot of conversations had, potentially. That moon conjunct Saturn trine the sun and Mercury, it will be, when I say loud, I don't mean like shouting loud, but I definitely feel like there will be a lot of differing opinions happening at that time, and you having to sift through the information and putting it through the filter of your emotions. And look, right, you got the Magician with the King of, you got two kings. Two kings represents minor council. Whether it's with me or someone else, irrelevant. This, around the 24th, a very good time to have a reading. Astrology, tarot, numerology, the I Ching, human design, whatever you pick for yourself, whichever you feel it is. But that 24th space, that's your time. Go for a reading because you'll get a lot from it. And then obviously we've got the 2 pages as well. 2 pages represents disquiet. So that 24, the energies around the 24th specifically for you, it's going to be loud. Like I said, there's potentially a lot of paperwork, or at least serious conversation that is, what's that jumping out? At least serious conversation that's taking place. As I moved my hand, that card fell off. It's the 6 of Wands. Don't fret too much about whatever it is that does come up, because success is basically assured. All right, so that King of Swords with the Magician card as well can sometimes show up as like a very powerful person who's really skilled. Because it's the King of Swords, I'd say this is probably likely to be a lawyer, what are those note-taking type people, or like people that read out wills, all that kind of thing. Not guarantors, I've forgotten the word for it. Anyway, so for your lunations, on the 14th of October, we have the new moon solar eclipse in the sign of Libra, which for you is in your fourth house. This is a fresh start in the home, the family, and the home, the family, the property and real estate sector, but also your deep emotional self. The fact that this is the first eclipse in the cycle in this specific sign, so this is the first Libra eclipse that we've had. We've had one in Aries, so it's kicked off the axis, but we haven't yet had one in Libra, and this is the first one. For this, you've got the Gate 51 and Shock. This is basically the Tower card. So some kind of, potentially some kind of shock, change, abrupt beginning or excitation comes in around that 14th of October for that new moon solar eclipse. And then on the 28th of October, we've got the full moon lunar eclipse in the sign of Taurus. It's the last one of this axis for the next like 9-ish years. Thank God. I'm so over it. You've got the Gate 46 and Serendipity. And a part of this is really about allowing yourself to be guided to the right things. And that full moon lunar eclipse for you is happening in your 11th house of hopes, wishes, goals, dreams. You may very well come to see around that eclipse, and certainly for the 3 to 6 months after, that a lot of what has been set into motion is starting to create the kind of future that you actually feel like you want or have desired for some time. So you start to see it actually materializing or manifesting around you, which could be really, really great. So if you would like to get a one-to-one session, Astro-Tarot session with me, you can do that on the link in the description box below. We're going to do what we do here in the videos, but personally for you with me, and we're going to dig into it, and it'll be a lot of fun. Anyway, with that said, I wish you an abundance of all of that good stuff. Have a fantastic month. Let me know in the comments how it shapes up. I apologize that they were later than usual. Take care, and I'll see you soon.